Ladies and gentlemen, there's a version of you that's lazy, loud, full of excuses, and addicted to comfort. It sleeps in when it should rise. It talks big but walks small. It waits for motivation, begs for permission, and runs the moment life gets hard. You know that version. You've seen it in the mirror. And if you're honest, it's been running the show for far too long. But here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. That weak version of you has to die. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now. Because every second you keep it alive, you kill your potential. And nobody's coming to save you. Not your friends, not your family, not even time. It's you versus you. And the man you were born to be, he doesn't show up until you bury the boy who keeps running. So if you're tired of playing small, if you're ready to rise, then let's do this. But before we go forward, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to wake up and take the fight seriously. Let's kill that weak version of you before it kills everything you could have been. The weak version of you knows how to keep you safe. It knows your favorite excuses, your soft spots, your comfort zones, and it wraps you in them like a blanket. It says, relax, you've done enough. It tells you, it's too late, you're too tired, maybe tomorrow. It gives you permission to stay average while making you feel like you're doing the best you can. But here's the truth, that weak version of you, it's a liar, a smooth-talking thief that's been stealing your potential, one excuse at a time. See? Comfort feels good in the moment, but it costs you everything in the long run. It costs you growth. It costs you self-respect. It costs you the pride of looking in the mirror and seeing someone who didn't fold. That weak self is always looking for the easy route. But the easy route never leads to strength. It leads to regret. It leads to wondering where all the time went. It leads to watching other people live the life you are too scared to fight for. And the dangerous part? That weak voice doesn't scream, it whispers. It rationalizes. It tells you you're fine where you are. That no one else is doing much either. That staying small is safer. And the more you listen, the more it becomes your identity. Until you forget there was ever a stronger version of you waiting to rise. But every time you choose discipline over delay, every time you move instead of making excuses, you chip away at that weak self. You starve it. You drain its power. You remind it that it doesn't run your life anymore. Because being strong isn't just about lifting weights or staying busy. It's about doing the hard things when no one's watching. It's about choosing the uncomfortable path because that's where your greatness lives. That weak version of you wants to survive. But you weren't born to just survive, you were born to dominate, to rise, to walk through the fire and come out stronger. So understand this, comfort is not your friend. It's the cage that keeps you tame. And until you get sick of that cage, you'll never break free. Discipline isn't glamorous. It doesn't get applause. It doesn't care how you feel. It shows up when motivation leaves. It works when nobody's watching. And that's exactly why it's the most dangerous weapon you have against a weak version of yourself. Discipline doesn't ask for comfort. It demands commitment. And every time you choose it, you're cutting off the dead weight that's been holding you back. Weakness thrives in comfort. It survives off, I'll do it tomorrow and just one more break. But discipline shuts that down. It says, no, we do it now. Not because it's easy, but because the future you needs it done. The weak you negotiates. The discipline you executes. And the more you act with discipline, the more you build a mindset that doesn't rely on how you feel. It relies on who you've decided to become. Most people wait to feel motivated. But motivation is inconsistent. It shows up when life is exciting and it disappears the moment things get real. That's why discipline is the difference maker. Because discipline keeps moving when everything in you says stop. It doesn't take days off from purpose. It doesn't give space to fear. It shows up tired, frustrated, hurting, and still moves forward. That weak version of you hates discipline. It wants you to believe you're too tired, that it's too late, that success is for people who don't feel what you feel. But that's a lie. The strongest people in the world feel what you feel. They just don't let it stop them. They train their mind to rise. They tell their body who's in charge. And that kind of mindset, it's only built through daily discipline. Every time you make your bed when you don't feel like it, discipline wins. Every time you choose to work out, the study session, the cold shower, the early wake up, discipline wins. And with every win, the weak version of you dies a little more. That's how you kill it, not with one grand act, but with 1,000 daily decisions, quiet, consistent, relentless. Discipline is not punishment, it's proof. Proof that you're serious. Proof that you're becoming dangerous. And once you start living that way, the weak version of you won't stand a chance. Excuses don't always sound like lies. They sound smart, reasonable, even responsible. I need to rest first. I'll start when I have more time. I'm not ready yet. These aren't just excuses. They're well-dressed lies. And the worst part, they wear the disguise of logic. They pretend to protect you, but what they're really doing is sabotaging everything you were born to become. The weak version of you is a master negotiator. It doesn't argue with your goals, it just delays them. It doesn't say give up, it says not now. And over time, those excuses pile up. Day by day, you let yourself off the hook. And the more you do that, the easier it becomes to stay stuck. You end up building a life around justifying your inaction instead of executing your potential. Excuses feed weakness like oxygen feeds fire. The more you entertain them, the stronger they get. And soon, you're trapped in a mental cycle where every time you face discomfort, your mind offers you a way out. That's how the weak version survives. It convinces you the conditions aren't right, that you're too tired, too busy, too old, too late. But ask yourself this: has one single excuse ever made you proud of yourself? Truth is, the most dangerous lies are the ones we tell ourselves because we believe them. And if you keep feeding your life with excuses, you'll wake up one day surrounded by regrets that sound a lot like reasons. You realize your delay wasn't due to lack of time, it was due to lack of courage. You didn't lack resources, you lack resolve. But there's another way. You can start calling out your excuses for what they are. Weakness trying to stay alive. You can look them dead in the eye and say, not today. You can stop negotiating with the part of you that only wants comfort and start acting like the version of you that wants freedom. Because that's what it really is. Excuses lock the door. Execution sets you free. So the next time your mind whispers a reason to quit, remember, it's just weakness dressed up in law. Don't entertain it. Don't argue with it. Starve it. Replace it with action. Replace it with truth. Because the strongest version of you doesn't make excuses, it makes move. Comfort is the enemy of growth. It's warm, familiar, and easy, but it's also the silent killer of progress. The weak version of you is obsessed with protecting comfort. It will do anything to avoid discomfort, to dodge pain, to stay where things feel safe. But here's the truth. The life you want isn't found in what feels good, it's found in what stretches you. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you reinforce the idea that you can't handle hard things. You shrink instead of stretch. You survive instead of evolve. And before you know it, you're living in a routine that keeps you just busy enough to feel productive, but far from the purpose you were built for. That's what the weak you wants. Safe, predictable, small. But growth demands discomfort. It lives in the early mornings, the cold showers. Because the hot conversations, the lonely nights, grinding while others are relaxing. It doesn't show up when you feel ready. It shows up when you do what needs to be done despite how you feel. Because growth is not a feeling, it's a fight. A daily decision to lean into the resistance, not run from it. Think about every major breakthrough in your life. Did it come when things were easy? No, it came when you were challenged, when you were tested, when everything in you wanted to quit, but something in you decided to go one more round. That moment, that was growth breaking through. That was the strong version of you stepping forward and saying, I'm not who I was, I'm who I choose to become. The weak you wants to protect your comfort, but your comfort zone is a cage. It tricks you into believing you're free while keeping you chained to who you used to be. And every time you choose not to push past it, you're saying, I'd rather feel safe than grow strong. But if you want a life that looks different, you have to start living different. You have to do the things that scare you, stretch you, and strengthen you. Growth never happens by accident. It's earned. It's fought for. It's the reward of every hard decision you didn't want to make but did anyway. And once you stop protecting your comfort, you'll discover something powerful. It was never your friend. It was your ceiling. You can't carry the old version of yourself into your future and expect change. The habits, the mindset, the fears, the excuses, they were all built for survival, not elevation. The old you is the one who tolerated mediocrity, who hesitated when it was time to act, who played small to stay liked. And if you don't kill that version, it will keep killing your potential. Every next level of your life demands a different you. That means shedding the layers that kept you comfortable, even if they were familiar. The old you might have served a purpose once. It got you through seasons where you didn't know better. But now it's just dead weight. Now it's just noise in your head saying, stay where it's safe. But safety never made history. Safety never birthed greatness. Transformation is violent. It's not polite. It doesn't ask for permission. It requires you to make hard decisions, like cutting ties with the people who only know how to talk about the past, like waking up earlier, training harder, being alone long enough to learn your own voice. The new you doesn't have time to convince the old you. It's not here to debate, it's here to dominate. And don't think for 1 second this happens naturally. The old you doesn't go quietly. It fights to stay alive. It'll use every trick in the book. Doubt, guilt, comfort, nostalgia. It'll try to make you believe that changing is betrayal, that you're losing yourself. But you're not losing, you're evolving. You're letting go of the version of you that was built from broken environments and small thinking. The old you was reactive, the new you is intentional. The old you chased approval, the new you moves with purpose. The old you asks for direction, the new you commands the room. But that shift doesn't happen until you make a conscious choice to bury the identity that no longer serves your vision, not with regret, but with reverence, because that version of you had a role, but it's not the role you were born to play. So stand in the mirror, look that old you in the eye and say, thank you, but your time is up. Then walk forward without apology, because the new you is waiting And it's not coming to find you. You have to become it. There are parts of you that can't be allowed to survive another day. Habits, beliefs, behaviors, relationships. If you don't kill them now, they will kill your future. Harsh, maybe, but true. You can't build a kingdom while babysitting your demons. You can't rise if you keep feeding what's been weighing you down. Every great future begins with a funeral. Something in you has to die so something greater can live. Too many people talk about who they want to become but refuse to confront what needs to end. They say they want to be disciplined, but they won't kill the laziness. They say they want success, but won't bury the victim mindset. They dream about abundance, but won't cut off the scarcity thinking. The math is simple. If it doesn't grow you, it's got to go. You don't get to keep everything and expect transformation. Your future requires sacrifice. Not comfort, not ease, sacrifice. The weak version of you will tell you to wait, to compromise, to hold on a little longer. But the strongest version of you already knows. Delay is death. Every day you hesitate is a day you hand over to the enemy of progress. And that enemy isn't out there. It's the version of you that refuses to change. So what needs to die today? Maybe it's the story you've been telling yourself that you're not enough. Maybe it's the addiction to being liked. Maybe it's the way you procrastinate because you fear failing. Whatever it is, you know it, you feel it. It shows up in your frustration, in your anxiety, in that quiet voice inside that says, there's more in you, and there is, but you've got to make room for it. Killing the old parts of yourself isn't easy. It hurts, it costs, it's lonely. But it's the only way forward. You don't become powerful by keeping the parts of you that keep you small. You rise when you start protecting your pain and start choosing your purpose. So, don't just focus on what you want to build, focus on what needs to be broken. Because if you're serious about your future, you have to get serious about what doesn't belong in it. Cut it. Kill it. Leave it behind. Your future isn't waiting for you to feel ready. It's waiting for you to make a decision. Every time you make an excuse, you give your weakness a microphone. You give it power, authority, and permission to run your life. Excuses aren't just words, they're lies dressed up as logic. I'm too tired. I don't have time. It's not the right moment. No, the truth is, it's not about time, energy, or opportunity. It's about discipline. It's about will. It's about being brutally honest with yourself and saying, I just didn't want it bad enough. Excuses are the handcuffs that keep your potential locked away. They sound reasonable, they feel justified, but they're chains. And the longer you speak them, the more you believe them. Before you know it, you're no longer just saying the excuse, you're living it. You become the man who almost did something, the one who could have, should have, but didn't. And that's how the weak version of you survives. By convincing you that survival is good enough. But greatness doesn't listen to excuses. It doesn't make room for them. The strongest version of you has no tolerance for that language. It doesn't need ideal conditions, it creates them. It doesn't wait for motivation, it shows up regardless. Excuses belong to the part of you that's afraid of becoming who you really are. Because that version has no backup plan. That version is all in. You want to know who makes excuses? People who are scared to fail. People who want the results without the responsibility. People who'd rather be accepted than exceptional. But excuses don't protect you. They poison you. They rob you of progress. They delay your destiny. And worst of all, they give your old self a seat at the table when it should have been kicked out a long time ago. The moment you stop explaining why you can't and start asking how you can, everything changes. Ownership replaces blame. Discipline replaces doubt. Progress replaces paralysis. And you stop waiting for someone else to push you. You become your own engine. So cut the noise. Kill the excuse. Burn the script you've been reading from, the one where life happens to you. Because the strong version of you isn't interested in rehearsing limitation. It's only interested in results. And results don't come from comfort. They come from commitment. People keep waiting to find themselves, like one day they'll wake up and stumble into the strongest version of who they are. But that's not how greatness works. The strongest version of you isn't hidden. It's built brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. There's no shortcut, no elevator, no magic moment. It's forged through resistance, not revealed in comfort. The strongest version of you is buried beneath layers of fear, laziness, and distraction. It's not out there in the world. It's buried inside, waiting for a fight, waiting for you to show up when you don't feel like it, waiting for you to push when everything in you wants to quit, waiting for you to stop talking about it, and finally be about it. And here's the hard truth. The weak version of you got more reps. That's why it feels more natural. You've spent years giving energy to that voice, the one that hesitates, that avoids, that negotiates with pain. But the strong version, he's been starving. He's been locked in the basement of your potential. And the only way he comes out is if you decide to start feeding him discipline, feeding him silence, feeding him sacrifice. You don't become him by accident. You build him every time you do the hard thing when no one's watching, when you choose discomfort over ease, when you wake up early, when you say no to shortcuts, when you confront your weaknesses instead of hiding behind pride. That's when he starts to rise. Not overnight, but over time. Don't confuse activity with growth. A lot of people stay busy avoiding who they're meant to become. They chase distractions, chase approval, chase noise. But the strong version of you doesn't need noise. He moves in silence. He doesn't beg, he builds. He doesn't seek applause, he seeks results. And that version of you, he's dangerous, he's focused, he's unstoppable. But only if you build him. So stop waiting for clarity. Start building consistency. Stop waiting to feel ready. Start showing up anyway. Because the version of you that you keep imagining isn't out of reach, just out of routine. And the longer you delay building him, the longer you stay loyal to the version that's been holding you back. You've heard the truth today. The weak version of you is not your enemy by accident. It's a force you must confront and conquer every single day. The strongest version of yourself isn't waiting around to be found. It's waiting for you to build it with relentless effort, discipline, and courage. The choice is yours. Will you keep holding on to old fears, excuses, and comfort zones? Or will you rise up, kill that weak version, and step into the power you were born to claim? Remember, greatness demands a fight, and every battle you win brings you closer to the man you're meant to be. If this message hit home, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe so more warriors can hear it too. And if you're ready for what's next, watch these powerful videos that keep fueling your transformation. The path is clear. Now it's time to walk it.